Hello everyone, this is Mutated Nuts and today we'll be continuing our beginner-friendly Road to OSCP video series. Today we'll be looking at another HackTheBox machine, that is ServMon. ServMon is based on Windows and the difficulty is easy, and this box was recently added to the teach none list. So let's just get started. So the first thing what I always do is I run an AutoRecon scan. If you guys don't know what AutoRecon is, it's an enumeration tool. It's going to do few Nmap scans at first on the target machine, and based on the output it's going to do additional scans on them. So it's going to enumerate things for you, and 95% of the time it works great on the target machine, but at times you have to manually enumerate things further. So it's like always know how to run your tools and commands manually as well. So I'll be running this AutoRecon.Py on the target machine. So I'll be giving sudo over here because I'll run this as root. I need the UDP scan to be executed as well. I'll be giving Python 3 over here so that to run this AutoRecon.Py file, I'll be giving the target IP address, that is 10.10.10.184 in the case of ServMon. I'll be giving the O switch for output directory, and where I want to save the scan results, I'll give that path. So I did already execute the scan. I'm not going to do it again because it takes quite some time to execute completely. So let's just go and look at the scan results. So this is what probably you'll get a directory like this, and we can go to the scan result over here. And first thing what I always do is I look at the full TCP Nmap scan. So if we look at the full TCP Nmap scan, if you just scroll through it, there are like multiple ports. So just ignore these things over here, the fingerprint, but you get to see multiple ports over here and over here as well. So it's like probably like, oh, so many ports, we have to manually enumerate things further. But AutoRecon does a good job to actually do scans on like almost most of the ports. Not all of them, but most of the ports it's gonna do a scan. But yeah, we do have multiple ports over here. So we have port 21 running FTP service, and it looks like there is anonymous access allowed. So because it actually says allowed over here, and we do get some directory that says user, so we'll probably check this first. And even if this was since there are multiple ports, right, that's a good thing to always check the FTP port, then go to SSH, not SSH probably, but AT or something like that, or SMB port. So we do have this, we have SSH running over here as well. We do have port 80 running HTTP, and also we do get some request over here. And also we do have multiple other ports as well which look important, that is 445, the SMB port, as well as multiple other other ports over here which are like probably unknown and TCP wrapped as well. So if the ports are TCP wrapped, you can do a slow Nmap scan on these ports and see if you get some additional information over there. So you can try that like using T0 scan, I guess, or T1 or something, and try and see if you get something over here. So that's how this thing would be evaded. Okay, so we do have another things over here which is Napster and PandoPub, but it says with the question mark, so that means Nmap is not sure what it is, it's just trying to guess. But these other things, it's like sure that this is the service what's running. So we do have another port over here which looks a bit interesting because it gives us something over here, HTTP, some request and all this thing, index HTML, and it says SSL, so probably it's running SSL over here, HTTPS. Okay, so we can go scroll below and we see the certificate as well. We do not get any domain name or something over here so that we could add it to our host file. We do not get something like that over here, so let's just move on. And we do have multiple MSRPC ports over here as well. So since there are multiple ports over here, we can just try and note down the important ports, and so that you don't forget, and enumerate those. And if you enumerated those and did not find it, then probably will go and move on to the other ports as well. So whenever you see a non-standard port, you can just try and probably use it, since there are multiple ports, which not non-standard but uncommon ports. So you can try and use it with netcat or something and see if you get access. So you use it with HTTP, like on the web browser, you can check this particular port out and see if it's actually giving you something or not. You can do that as well. So let's just add the important ports over here. So let's just go to our cherry tree over here. So we can just do ports. Then we can add port 21, we can add 22, and we can add port 80 over here. We can add 445 as well, and also the last port, that is probably this 8443 port, or you can just start with these four and probably go for that later. So 8443. Okay, so we added these ports over here, and we did see that FTP had anonymous access. So obviously that's the first thing which we are going to do. So let's just go and just hit FTP over here and give the IP address of the target machine 184. Okay, so in the name over here we can give anonymous, and password just hit enter, don't enter anything else, just press enter, that's it, and it will give you the access. So let's just do dir, list down that directory, that is users. So let's just, first thing, whenever you come to FTP, like, you can check that if you can go behind or no, like if you can go behind of this particular directory or no. It says command successful over here, so that means, yeah, probably it actually went back one directory, right? So if you do dir again, so probably we are stuck over here. So in short, it's like, suppose this is the path, right, which I have, and if I'm running the HTTP service only over here, okay, so I cannot go back to these directories over here. I'm just limited over here. Even if I press cd back, it's not gonna go, it's just gonna be stuck over here because I'm running FTP, because I have configured it that way. So it's just gonna run over here. So this is how it works, just a small info about that. And we'll just go to the users directory, and we do see we have two users over here, but they are like directories, so we can just add it to like potential usernames, because we obviously need usernames. At times we get passwords but we do not get usernames, so you can add that. Nadine, sorry, usernames, we can add Nadine as well as Nathan. Okay, so we added these two now over here, so we can just go to the directories, because they are directories and not files. So we do have this confidential txt document, so we can just try and get this document to our system to analyze it further. So we can just do mget and confidential txt, copy paste this, just press Y and hit enter, and we do get that file. So let's just go back, and let's just go back to that Nathan directory. So let's just go to Nathan, and it says notes to do. So what we'll try to do now is, we can either try to do and like add codes over here, but another thing, we can just use mget and this asterisk, so it will get all the files, and just hit enter, sorry, Y and enter. So the file has been transferred. So you can see over here, since we want this working directory of workplace over here on top, so that's why the files got downloaded over here. So you can just take this, cut this, you can put it to your root directory or to your exploit directory as well. So let's just go to root over here, and we do have confidential txt. We can analyze this particular file. And also another thing in FTP, since I just forgot to mention that you can just do dir and you can do a, so that it will list down, where are we now? Okay, nodes to do. So I think we can do lsla as well over here. Yeah, so in short, you can do lsla or dir-a to list down all the particular files or hidden files over here. So make sure you all do that as well. At times there are no files present, but you can do that. You can use lsla or dir-ah. Okay, sorry, my bad, I just used lsla and this together. The parameter is incorrect. I'm not sure. I don't think it's recognizing over here, but yeah, you can use this this /a to get all the particular files. Okay, so what we can do is, we can just look at that confidential txt node, and it says Nathan. So probably this Nadine guy is sending some note to Nathan, and it says, I left your passwords txt file on a desktop. Wow, it's like something related to password, I guess. So some hint over here, and it says, please remove this once you have edited it yourself, place it back into the secure folder. So probably we can we actually know that there is some passwords txt over here. So in Nathan's folder desktop, there is something called as passwords txt. So let's just look at the name as well. So it starts with P, okay, capital P. So let's just enter this entire thing over here. So we can just enter passwords txt. So probably there's a file which says desktop passwords txt in this Nathan's directory, user directory. That's what the node says. It can be a rabbit hole as well. We don't know it yet. But yeah, let's just go on. And it says, please remove it once you have and place it in some secure folder. So another tip, like some hint over here, secure folder, and it's sent by Nadine. Okay, so this text was anyway found in this Nadine's directory itself, I guess. Yeah. And we do see something over here, notes to do, and this notes to do was actually from Nathan's directory, I guess. Okay, so let's just look at that, and it says over here, change the password for NVMS. Okay, we do have NVMS over here. We can look at that full TCP and map scan and see if we get something over here. We don't have anything for NVMS. We can just do a quick search as well. NVMS, I don't think we have anything. Okay, we don't have. And it says that it's completed. The password change has been completed for NVMS, so it means like probably the default credentials were completed. See, this is just a text and note. It can be a rabbit hole. Obviously, that does not mean you don't have to check it because you don't have the actual config file. And it says log down the NSClient access. Okay, so NSClient, probably it was running on this particular port, I guess. Over here. So if you see over here, HTTP title says NSClient++. So probably this thing is running over here, but it says lockdown access. So probably I don't think we can access it or something. It says completed, and other things it's like it does not say complete. So probably we can just ignore this for now, or we could have used it for hints later, but I don't think it's required. So let's just move on. So what we can do is we can just quickly go and look at the other ports over here. That is the port 80. Okay, so you can look at 22, but obviously there's SSH. You can try to brute force it. That's it. So we don't want to go over there. We'll just look at port 80 over here for now and see if we get something over here. So if you do that, we do get something like NVMS 1000. So in short, this particular note actually said that change the password for NVMS. So probably the default credentials will not work. You can go and check out for the default credentials and try to use them and see if this works. But I don't think that's going to happen because the password has been changed over here, it looks like. So obviously you can try it out first. You just try it out, make sure this is not a rabbit hole. So let's just move on from there. We do have NVMS 1000. Second thing is we can check for this is custom application. You can check for view page source and see if it is custom, if you have some comments or something over here. Or what we can do is we can do a Google search for exploit, or we do have searchploit, right? So let's just try to use that and do searchploit, that is your local database, and try to do NVMS over here. And we do get something which says NVMS 1000 directory traversal. We do have something over here as well, TBT NVMS, and it says directory traversal. But it's a Python script. Probably I think the script was released, it was released later, like after the box being released. So let's just look at this hardware web apps. You can check for this as well, but the reason why I'm not checking it because this was released after the box, so that's why I don't want to go through this. You can go and check this out and see if this actually works. But yeah, first thing, let's just go and look at this. So we can do searchploit. Let's just go to the exploit directory actually. Then let's just do a searchploit M for mirror, M switch for mirror, and I just copy this, paste it over here so that it mirrors and copies it to our current working directory. So let's just go back over here and go to exploit, and we do see something over here. It says like sort of like a POC kind of thing, and it says there's directory traversal present. So if you send a get request over here with these parameters, so you can have a directory traversal done and you can get the win.ini file, and probably the response would look something like this. So let's just try adding this entire path over here. Take this path and add it over here. You can obviously try adding it first over here if that makes sense, but we do not get anything over here. We can do a view page source as well, do not get anything. So next thing is we can just try and add it over here as well. So the same thing, it's coming to Windows win.ini, and it's the directory traversal, the thing over here, the forward slash and the dots are missing. So for some reason it's acting funny. So it's probably like, hey, I don't think this actually works, but it can actually work. So what you can do is, next thing, if this does not work over here, so probably it's redirecting and removing these things over here from the clients or something, I'm not sure. So what we can do is we can just try and route this traffic through burp, and we can just do it with XY. You can use Foxy Proxy as well, but Foxy Proxy recently, like there are a few changes, like I don't use it personally, but there are changes like which request you to give multiple access to that particular plugin or extension. So yeah, so we do have this manual proxy configuration. Leave this as localhost. We can leave this port as 8080 itself. Press OK. Start burp suite over here. Open your burp suite and route this traffic. So in short, if you guys don't know what we are trying to do, is we're just trying to do something like burp suite over here. I hope you guys are already aware what's going on. So we are sending this traffic over here. We'll capture the traffic in burp suite, we'll modify it or something, or analyze the response, and then we are sending this traffic over here. So it's going to be vice versa over here, and this blue thing, that means this is from our box itself, and burp suite will be present in our box obviously, and we're just forwarding that request to ServMon. Okay, where did burp suite go? I think it gives a pop-up. So okay, just do okay. Close, start burp. So let's just go over here. You can put this intercept on for now, or you can turn it off, and you can do it multiple ways. So let's just try turning it off, and let's just try and paste this thing again over here. And let's just try and hit enter. Or probably you can just send a valid request first and see if this, let's just try doing this and see what kind of a request we actually send. Okay, so if you look at this, it is actually, there's some client side thing happening, and if you see over here, the request what it is sending is this, and not the one which we are actually added over here. Okay, so client side, this is happening in client side. Client side means the browser is doing the application itself, but probably some JavaScript or something is doing that. So we cannot add it over here. So what we'll try to do is we can just try and send this to repeater, and to make things easy, we can just remove this thing and add our path over here, the forward slashes with dots. So that means we are going one directory backwards, backwards, and then we are probably going inside this Windows WinI directory. So I hope you guys know what directory traversal is, and we'll just look into that in a moment. So if you do send over here, so if we are fortunate enough to actually get a response, and we do not have to play with more directories over here, and we did get a response which is the same as the one present over here, almost the same, which has to not be exactly the same, but yeah, we got the WinI file over here. In short, this was confirmed. Sorry. So now what is happening is we do have path traversal over here. We can try to check out for user flags. I guess you can check out for like multiple things over here, like NT user data or something like that, or some other useful information. So we already do have intel on something like, you know, that the passwords thing, right? There was a note over here which says confidential. I left your password.txt file on your desktop, which we have added over here. That is the desktop passwords.txt, and this is probably the Windows. That means this is a root directory. So if you guys obviously knows like a bit about Windows, so the root directory, your C drive, would have directories like Windows, program files, and also program files users, sorry. Then there will be something like program files x86 as well. Yeah, so this is what your actual, and obviously there will be multiple other directories as well, but this is what your Windows root directory would look like, right? So we do have Windows over here. So this Windows is actually this. So that means this is where the root directory, we are at the root, okay, of the C drive. So what we need to add is we can try and add users over here. So let's just remove this Windows for now. We don't require this. Let's just try adding users, and let's just try adding this particular passwords.txt file, but it says on your desktop. So that means there'll be a desktop directory over here. So that means add desktop, and then add the passwords.txt file and see if this actually works. So it's passwords.txt. I have taken the same, you know, the uppercase over here and passwords s.txt, obviously, otherwise it's not going to work. And let's just try sending this request and see if we get something over here. So let's just do that. And it says 404 not found. Why? Because obviously we forgot to enter the username over here. So the username itself would be Nathan, I guess. Yeah, Nathan. So this is what happening. Users, then go to a directory that is your some persons, like obviously there will be some user, right? So that user, add desktop, then passwords.txt over here. So you do that, you send it, and you do get a password file over here that says inspect the way to Mars or something like that, and multiple other passwords. So what we can do is we can just copy this, and since we got it from this particular port 80, right? So we can just try and paste it over here and see if these passwords are actually working with any of these users. Okay, Nadine and Nathan. Okay, since we have these passwords over here, probably we can check for these two users, since we have two usernames and we have like 6 passwords. So we have to do a combination and see if this works. We can check on multiple ways. We do have port 21, you can check out there. You have port 22, you have your port 445 as well to check out for a valid credential. So multiple ways you can check it out. So another thing is, how did this actually work is because there's a directory traversal vulnerability over here. So in short, we are going back multiple directories and then going and accessing some file. So I have explained this directory traversal in my previous earlier videos as well. So let's just quickly look at that and see how it actually works. So if we just go to this root directory over here, so I'll just probably try and create few directories. So I'll just go back to the root directory and I'll just do mkdir. I'll give the p switch over here. I'll just give dir1, dir2, dir3. Okay, so this is what I'll give. The p switch is to if these directories are not present, so create another directories. It says cannot create directory 1. Okay, my bad. Don't enter that. Yeah, so that's done. So we do have this directory 1 over here, directory 2 and directory 3. So since, just look at this path over here. Okay, so we have multiple paths over here. So we do have multiple directories over here. In short, if our web application was actually running to this in this particular dir3 directory, if we just create something like NVMS txt or NVMS exe, just consider that, probably txt. Yeah, so we do have this NVMS txt file over here. Just consider this as a web application. If it's running over here, this is the root directory of the web application. Then we can probably go back multiple directories, since this is vulnerable to directory traversal. So this is going back, like, obviously, like, you know, I think the count is huge over here, but we'll just go back few directories over here. So in short, it's just trying to do this thing present over here. So like go back over here. So probably we'll just do it 3 times, I guess, or 4 times. Okay, let's just do it 3 times and let's just go back to our root directory itself. So if you do this over here, we come back to our root directory, right? So let's just go back to the previous directory again, and then later on after that you just try to cat a file. Okay, so what we can do is we can just go back and then try to get this. There's some confidential txt, I guess, confidential txt. Okay, so let's just try to get this particular file, and this is that file which we actually received. So in short, what we did was, we are over here in this directory tree, but in order to read this particular file, we are going back 3 directories, and we are getting the confidential file. Obviously you can go back to the root directory as well, but over here, since we are already present, sorry, we don't have to go to the root directory, because I'm just trying to explain you all things like how this directory traversal is working. We're going back one directory, come back over here, then come back over here, come back over here 3 times, and then there'll be a file confidential txt. Let me read that. So same thing is happening over here. We are going back multiple directories, because this is what probably the application may have multiple subdirectories and, you know, child directories, sorry. And this is what's happening. Then we come to the root directory over here, then we go to users, then we go to Nathan, then we go to desktop, then we go to passwords txt. So it's probably like you can do another thing just to make things better to understand. Go back one more directory, then go to root directory, and then come to confidential txt. So this is the same thing what we are going to get. We went back 4 directories. That means we came to the workplace directory, then we went to the root directory, and we did read this particular file, confidential file, from this root directory. Root, sorry, my bad, not root. Okay, so we do get that, and this obviously you add the first one, because in order to send the request, we'll have to add this first /. So that's why we have added it, because it's obviously common sense, right? You're not going to send your request like this. That's an invalid way to actually send the request. So you need to add this /, then only this request is going to go. So this was how it was done, and we did get the password txt file. So let's just move on and let's just try this password txt. We do have a nice interesting looking port 22 over here, so let's just try it over there. And what we can do is we can just go back to the root directory. Okay, and okay, let's just go to exploit, and yeah, so what we'll try to do is we'll just try to create 2 files first. So we can just create a directory, sorry, a file name that is called usernames txt, and let's just try and add Nadine over here and Nathan, and just try to see case sensitive as well, but let's just try to be safe and we can add that as well if required. So we have Nadine Nathan, because since we know only 2 users, right, we do not know more users over here. And another document you can try and create, that is for your passwords. So we can enter passwords txt. So we are just trying to create a custom list of passwords, which we did get. Actually, we are not trying to actually brute force it completely. We do have a dictionary, right? A small dictionary attack. We're not doing a brute force attack. We're just doing a dictionary attack over here. So we do have this particular file and we do have the passwords. Okay, so we can try and use multiple applications over here. There is like probably there is Hydra, there's crackmap.exec as well as Medusa, I guess. So we'll just try and use Hydra first. You can use it over port 22 and you can use it over port 445 as well, port 21 as well. But let's just try with port 22 first, because as such, if we do get a valid credentials, we can just log in, and Hydra won't be useful. Like, we have to update the Hydra version, by the way, in Kali to actually execute it in the particular 445 port, because there's an error over there. So we'll just see that in a bit. But this Hydra actually, yeah, so let's just run it with SSH. So let's just do Hydra first, and we do have this particular file over here, and it says the usage is probably use the login file. Give the else switch, because if you are providing a file, so let's just try to do that. Give the else switch over here. Okay, the usage is mentioned over here as well. So we'll give the file name, that is the user names txt, the one which we had created. We'll give the pass as well. So the pass file, that is P, capital P, because we're giving the file, not the password itself. And we'll give the passwords list. So that is passwords.txt, which we have created. Then we have to add the service, so like FTP or something. So we can probably add SSH, because I think it is supported SSH over here. So SSH is present over here. So let's just add SSH, and then let's try and add the host name, sorry, host IP address, target IP address 10.10.184. That's it, I guess. I don't think we need to add anything else. Let's just see if this works. So it says attacking SSH, and it did already list down a credential over here. Obviously Nadine and the capital N as well as the small n, lowercase n, did get a valid response. So this is what it looks like, and this is what the password is. So we can just try and copy this with Nadine user over here. Okay, so we do get this password. I don't think any credits work for Nathan. And just quickly, I want to show you all that you can try for SSH as well as SMB over here. But SMB does not work because it requires a different SMB protocol, like SMB version 2 update or support. So that you have to update the Hydra version. I have not yet updated it. So just like FYI, if you get stuck or something, you can use crackmap.exec for that. So I think we can try for FTP as well. Let's just see if this FTP will work. Okay, it says 0 password found, so I don't think it did work over there. I'm not sure, but yeah, let's just move on. And we do get something for SSH over here. So let's just try and log in and see if we have SSH connection over here. You can check, since this valid credential we did find, and we do have SMB port, right? We can check for that as well if you find some interesting, but we already got a SSH connection credential, so I don't think we require SMB, right? Okay, we can check for that as well. Don't leave that out. But yeah, let's just try and do SSH. So SSH as Nadine user, give the Nadine username, and at 10.10.184. Let's just do that. Then we'll ask for a password. We do have this password over here. Let's just copy this and paste this thing over here. So we do get access over here. If you do who am I, we are over here ServMon as Nadine, and if we do dir, we go to our desktop directory. Dir, we do get the user txt flag over here. We can very well read it. Obviously we do get this file. This is how we got user access. So now since we got user access, we can check for multiple things over here. So obviously you cannot check for like sudo l or something, but yeah, we can check for system info since it's a Windows box. So we'll just try and see if it gives us some information, but it says access denied. So we do not have any system information over here. And another thing is we can check for groups. So we can check for manual things like who am I, and we can just do all over here. I will list down all the information of this particular user. We see that, you know, obviously there are no nice groups over here like SE impos. Okay, sorry, not that, but any like network service, network administrator or something like that. And privileges, we do not have anything as SE impersonate or something, so that we could have escalated our privileges. But we do see something like SE shutdown privilege that is enabled, which is probably interesting. And yeah, that's it. I don't think we have anything else over here, so we can just try to move on. And let's just go back over here and we can just try and see and try to enumerate the directories over here. We do have the documents directory, and we can just do DIRA over here. DRA does work over here, right? FTP did not work. So that's what. Okay, so what we'll try to do is we got in as Nadine, and we can just have a look at that particular notes which was present, notes to do, and it says change the password. That was done. Log down the NSClient access. So we did see that NSClient earlier, right? And since we already got the passwords and credentials, we just moved on really quick, obviously, because we did find the right path, right? So let's just try and check for this 8443 over here. So what we'll try to do is we'll just try and check out for the HTTPS page, because that is HTTPS and not HTTP, because it's present on the scan result over here. Make sure you all add HTTPS. Don't forget that SSL. So that's why I add HTTPS and enter the port number, that is 184, that is the target IP address, and the port number, that is 8443. Let's just try to do that, and obviously you'll get this for the certificate, because it says the certificate domain, just accept and continue, because it's from the HackTheBox this, right? So okay, so we do get something over here like a web application sort of thing which says NSClient, and for some reason does not bring up anything. Let's just try to load this again. Like I just created a new tab over here. Let's just try to load this, and it says sign in to use NSClient++. So in short, we do get this thing over here. We can check for forgotten password. It says the NSClient password can be found by running this thing, or you can set a new password over here. So we can do this thing over here, and let's just try running this on the target machine over here and see if this works first. So if you do that, it says nscp is not recognizable as an internal command or external command. So probably we have to go to this particular directory over here and see if this nscp is actually installed or something like that. So obviously it's installed, right? That's why it's running. But yeah, let's just try and go to program files, cd program files. Let's just go over here and see we do have NSClient++. So let's just go back, go to this particular directory, and then later on we do have something like nscp.exe over here. So let's just try running this now. So it says current password is this. So we do get some password over here, and let's just try to copy this and try to paste it over here and see if this thing works. It says you're not allowed for some reason, I don't know. But yeah, we do get the password over here, so we can just try and add the credential over here, that is this password for 8443. Now what we can do is, next thing, that obviously we did run this tool over here, and it says like display password or something. So when I first did the box, I saw this NSClient++, so probably I thought it's some vendor specific application, because it looks actually neat or something like that. It's not a custom application, so not vendor but an open source. So I obviously did check out the source page over here, and I did not find anything. So what we can do is, next thing, let's just go and check for source exploit and see if we get something over here. NSClient, let's just do that, and we do get two entries over here. One says authenticated remote code execution. We do have credentials, but we did not get access. Probably that's the one which we can look for. Another one, it says Windows local 46802 txt, so privilege escalation. And over here it says authenticated remote code execution, and here it says privilege escalation. So let's just try this first and see if we get something over here. So exploit paste this. Okay, let's just try and look for this. My bad. Okay, I think this is the one which was created after the box was released. So let's just look at the other one over here, Windows local. Okay, So we do have this exploit over here, and this is like a POC present, and this is the client which version which we are looking for is 05235 over here. So let's just see if this particular thing works over here. And if we just go through the script or the POC, it says grab web administrator password. So over here it says you can either use this command which we already did use, and it will display the password which we do have. Oh, and it says open this particular NSClient file. So let's just try opening this file. So let's just go over here back to the shell, and let's just do a type command over here. The file is already present over here, we can see it. So let's just try to do a type, and let's just try to paste and see if we get something. We do get like a config file or something, not really config, but yeah, it's like somewhat, yeah, it's obviously like a config file, and it says over here the password is EW2X6 something like that. Obviously we do have the same password, and it says allowed host is only the local host. So probably this client is not letting us log in because we are trying to log in from a remote host, because our IP is actually 10.10.14.11. that is my IP address right now in HackTheBox VPN. It's not the local host. It's saying that probably you can log in only through the local host. So this is what it's saying over here, and we can check out for other details as well. Don't see anything. You see some scripts or something. Okay, so let's just try to move on and see what is the next step we can do over here. So since this is only accessible through the local host, so we can try to do some port forwarding using SSH, because SSH is already present and we are logged in as SSH. So we can do that first and try to confirm that this particular thing is actually working, then move on to the other things. Okay, so since we already have the shell over here, what we can do is we can do quick checks over here. That is, obviously we do know from the full TCP nmap scan that 443 is running over here and that NSClient is running, and obviously we did load this thing up. So we can also check for get process, because if you do task list over here, for some reason it says access denied, or you cannot run it or something. So let's just try and see. So it says access denied, so we can try to run PowerShell commands over here. So let's just do PowerShell get process over here, and we do get multiple processes. So we can check for each and every process over here, but the one which we are looking for is that NSCP process. Okay, the NSClient. So this is the client which we are looking for, and we can just note down the PID. So this ID is nothing but the process ID over here, because obviously when you have the Windows system or something, you will have a process ID mentioned. So we do have the process ID. We obviously do have it in Kali as well, right? If you do PS AUX or something, you'll get the process ID over there, so you can kill that process or something. So we do have this running on 2660, and we can just copy this over here, cherry tree probably. PID is equals to 2660. Okay, and what we can do next step is we can check for netstat and see if there are any listening. Obviously there'll be listening ports over here, that's why this web application is running over here, right? But let's just try and see something over here which would be helpful later on, maybe for some other boxes or something like that, or maybe in the future it may be useful. So we do have this 8443 port, right? And it does display the same PID number, that is 2660. So that means obviously this thing is working over here. I'm just saying, because what if this client did not load up at all over here? Okay, on the web page over here from the remote connection, it did not load up at all. It just gave you an error that not working. So we could have just cross-verified and checked that NSClient is actually working and running with the same process ID with get process, and then we can check out for this particular port, then we can do a port forwarding. Okay, so we do have this port over here. What we'll try to do is we'll just exit, and now we'll try to port forward using SSH, and we'll give the L switch over here. We can give the R switch as well when required, but we don't require for this box, so we'll not go into that. So we do have the L switch over here. We can give the IP address of the target machine first. So I want to port forward the local host IP address and the port, that is, I'll just keep it simple and I'll keep the same port. I guess I don't want to mess with the port, or probably just to avoid confusion we can just try and change the port to 8 probably like 5555, and this is my localhost port and IP address. You can ignore this if required. It's by default going to take the localhost itself. I'm just showing to make you all understand better. So let's just add 127.0.0.1 and then probably add the other port, that is 8443. Why this localhost port? Because this is where that SSH connection was listening. If you saw over here, 8443, this is where this NSCP application is listening. 0000 is obviously the localhost itself, so that's how on the system it's running over here, and this is the port which it is running. So I want to, in short, take all the connection which is coming from this particular port. Okay, so let's just quickly look at AutoDraw. Delete this thing, don't require it. So I need to send all the connection from my localhost IP and the port, that is 5555, to this ServMon. So let's just put it over here, to ServMon localhost, and that is the port 8443, my bad. I'll just change the color a bit. Yeah, so in short, I'll be sending request using SSH. This thing is happening, so we'll just add that as well. SSH is doing this connection because we already have this connection as the Nadine user, right? We do have SSH connection established. So what SSH will do is it will create a connection over here, and obviously it will create this over here. But what SSH would do is whatever whatever data or request we send to this IP address, that is our local host and the local port 555, SSH is gonna actually take and redirect this thing to obviously this particular port over here, that is your localhost of the server once it goes over there, and this particular port. So this is what SSH is actually doing. Just ignore this drawing, it's a bit rough, but yeah. So in short, it's gonna take whatever connection is coming over here, it's gonna transfer it directly to this ServMon. I've just done the color coding over here because to understand, this is the localhost of the server. It's gonna send it to this particular port and this particular IP, that is localhost, and this particular port. So in short, this is what our localhost IP and port looks like, and I'm telling the server that, hey, you know what, this is our localhost, L for local, not remote. I'll be sending this and port forward it to your next connection where you will establish a connection over there to the localhost and this port. So this is what's happening, and let's just try and run this and take this particular password, okay, and try to paste it over here. Okay, we do get this thing present, and let's just try and access this page again. I'll probably just try to create a new tab because this page is somewhat like this web application over here is somewhat funny, but yeah. So now what we'll try to do is we'll just try and see that, you know, this. And also another quick thing you can do is you can just do a netstat on your particular sorry, not netstat, yeah, you can do a netstat on your particular system over here. You can give ntlu I guess, yeah, and you can do a grep on 5555, and we do see that this particular thing is listening over here. So we had created that SSH session, right, and it did listen. So we can obviously close this and it will stop listening over here, but it has created something over here. So what we'll try to do is we'll just try and enter the password which we did find earlier, and we'll try to see if this actually works. If you paste the password and it says not allowed again, because we are over here as this particular IP itself, so we have to change that. And let's just go and do HTTPS 127.0.0.0 and 844, because why we need to send this particular request from this over here and then send it over here. My bad, I had to actually add 5555 because this is where we are going to send the request, then it's going to send it over here. So let's just add 555 and it will give you this error again. Just to accept, we do get this page, that means it's confirmed that port forwarding actually worked. Now we have to confirm that this password is going to work or not, because we did get access over here. I'm not running anything on my localhost, I'm just forwarding this port to that port. And see, as I mentioned earlier, this application is a bit funny, you don't get that sign in page over here. So let's just try to put this on a new tab, just close these things, do not require it anymore, paste this password and do a sign in, and we do see that we logged in over here. So we successfully get access over here. So first part of this POC is done. Next thing, it says login and enable following modules, including enable at startup and save configuration. So it says check external scripts scheduler. So these two modules we have to actually go and enable. So let's just go to modules. It mentions over here, right? go to modules, yeah, okay, and then check external scripts is already enabled, so we don't have to do anything, and also the other scheduler. So it says over here scheduler, so that is also enabled. So it's already enabled, so we don't have to do anything else over here. So what we can do is, next thing it says download nc.exe and evil bat to ctem from attacking machine. So you can do that, evil bat, or you can change it to whatever your name you all want. But you all can do it with nc over here. So let's just go simple, use nc, and for that we need to transfer this file to the target machine. So we require something like an smb server to transfer the file, and let's just create a directory that is smb, and let's go to smb directory, then try and go create this particular smb server. Or before that, we can just locate the nc.exe file. Since this nc is obviously, we do have nc over here, right? If I just do which nc in my system, I do have nc over here in my Linux, but this is a Linux binary. I need it for the Windows system, so we do have this nc over here which says user share Windows resources binary nc.exe, that is already present in your system. So you can take that, copy this thing over here and paste it into the current working directory. So this is the file which we need. My bad, I'm using copy instead of cp. Yeah, so we do have this thing present over here. Now obviously lsla, we do have nc.exe. We need to transfer this file to our machine over here, and let's just try and keep it simple and use the tmp directory, okay, so which is mentioned over here as well. So let's just try and go back and we just go to tmp directory over here, and then later on what we can do is we can just try and copy this particular file. So before that, let's just start a smb server. So we can start a smb server using sudo smb server, and we have to give a name of the shared directory. So you can give any name you all want. My bad, what did I write? smb packet smb server, my bad. Sudo packet smb server, and then probably we have to write a name over here, the shared drive name. So probably just write mutated nuts over here. You can write any name you want, and you have to enter the current working directory. You can paste the current working directory, or you can just have this thing over here, and we can just mention pwd. So that means that the current working directory, you can have this file, or if you all want it to be simple, if you all don't understand what I'm trying to do, so just do pwd over here, get this thing, copy paste it, and get this thing started. It'll ask for your password obviously, so enter your password if you're running as root, so it's not gonna ask obviously. So it's just started over here. Let's just try and copy this nc.exe file and see what happens. So let's just try to copy it from the network drive, that is 10.10.14.1. that is my IP address, attack machine's IP address, and I'll be giving the shared drive name, that is mutated nuts, and then I will be giving the file name, that is nc.exe, and you can give the dot to paste it over here itself, because we're already in the tmp directory. What we require over here, I think we can close this. So what we require over here, the tmp directory, so we're already over there. Let's just try to do that, and if you do that, it says you cannot connect because it requires, your system requires smb2 or higher. It says the smb1 protocol is obsolete, so this thing would not work as of now, but we need to add something. So we can just try running sudo smb server again with sudo packet smb server. Let's just try running this, and it says smb2 support over here, which is experimental, but let's just try and see if this particular thing works. We give smb2 support over here and see if this particular thing works. Let's try running this and just give smb2 support. See, there are multiple ways to transfer the box, like, transfer the files. You can use PowerShell as well. You can use a PowerShell web client command, or you can use the PowerShell wget as well. About I think it's available on PowerShell 3+ versions. You can use that as well, but I'm just trying to show that something does not work. Let's try and see for switches or something which would help you actually give this particular it's going to establish a connection and it's going to make things work. So that way it's like, once you get stuck, you can try for multiple things obviously. But yeah, let's just try doing this thing again, and if we do that, we do not get any error. So probably this file is getting transferred. We do get something over here as well, and let's just wait and see if this file gets transferred or not. So we did copy this particular file. If we do dir over here, this nc.exe is present. Okay, so another thing, instead of having this bat nc, we could have created a reverse shell or something, but I tried that first time and did not work. So y'all can try it out and see if this works or not. Okay, so now we do have this nc.exe file, and it says an evil bat to see. So probably we have to create another one that is evil bat, and it says this is the command which we have to give. So let's just copy this thing over here, and in the SMB directory we can try and create a new document that is evil bat, or you can create mutated nuts bat over here. So let's just try to do that. You can create anything y'all want. If y'all want evil bat, y'all can keep that as well, just to keep things simple. And we are just trying to create a bat file that is your batch file, so it's like you can have things executed. It's like probably like kind of like an sh file or something. It's just like you're gonna execute that as a bat command. Okay, so echo off, I did not add anything, I just copy pasted, but obviously don't leave it as it is. We do have tmp over here. We can change this to capital T. I think this would not matter much, but yeah, let's just be safe. We do have the nc.exe file. This IP address is not my IP address, so please make sure you all like change it according to yours as well, and obviously I'm going to change it to mine. So 10.10.14.11 is my IP address. The port, I don't want this port, I want a port that is 4444, because it's not in use, because I've done a SSH connection, I've not got a shell. And eswitch cmd.exe, let's leave it as it is. Okay, so what we can do is, in order to, before we successfully create this file and send it, we'll just try and see if this actually works. So let's just copy this thing over here, create a nc netcat listener on port 444, and let's just see if this thing actually works. Okay, so let's just try running it. We do get a shell over here. If we do who am I, we obviously has the same user, but it did work, right? So okay, this thing is complete, and it did work, because sometimes it would be like, hey, I've done everything right, I've transferred the file, it's not working. Go step by step, try to verify things in each and every step and see if it is working or not. So obviously we do create this mutated nuts bat. What we'll try to do is, next thing is obviously save this file, Control S, try to copy this another file over here, that is mutated nuts bat file. So I think it did get a request, yes, and it's in progress. Yeah, it says one file's copied, and if you do this over here, it says mutated nuts bat. Now let's just try executing this particular bat file. Let's just start netcat listener again. I'm just saying that try to execute and see if this file actually works. So if you run this file, obviously in our file we had mentioned nc, this was the command which we did execute earlier as well, and we were successful. So let's just try to do that and see if this thing works. We do have a netcat listener running, so we do mutated nuts bat, it does work. So that means this bat file is good to go as well. It gets the QA mark over here. Okay, so now we do have the bat file done, yeah, and it says set up your listener. We have already done this as well, and then okay, we need to do it again now. And it's saying 443, you can add any other port. So, and then it says add script foobar to call evil bat and save settings. So you have to go to settings, external scripts, and scripts. So probably you have to go in this application, you have to go to settings over here, then go to external scripts and add new. And I think it's saying foobar this, something like that, I don't know. It's a bit confusing over here now. The first steps were like very nice and simple to understand, but over here it gets a bit confusing. In short, it says add a script, add a scheduler, and then you will probably get root. This is what it's trying to do. So let's just try and add a script over here which says default, and a script over here as well. So once you click script external, so okay, so let's just go to we did go to settings, external scripts, and then let's just try to do add new, because it says do an add new over there, add new. So let's just do this. Over here we do get the scripts, so make sure that this is actually the scripts directory. So try to add a section over here and mention some script like kindly subscribe, or you can add foobar as well, what is mentioned over here itself. You can add that as well. So let's just try for that. just to keep things simple, and it says key and value. So this was where I was a bit confused at first, and I was wondering how do you add like this command over here, because the key would be left out, or the value would be left out. So obviously let's just try and see how to add external script in NSClient. So let's just try to do that, and we'll get multiple pages over here. Let's just try and open this NSClient documents and see if we get some hint towards these keys or something. And if we scroll below, hopefully we find something over here. Don't think we find anything over here. Let's just go over here and see if we do get something. External scripts settings. Okay, we do get something like a key, so probably we have some intel about this key thing over here, information. So if you scroll below, and let's just scroll below. Okay, in short it says keys over here. So keys is something like command can be used as key, and the value should be used or something like that. So probably this is where we understood, like probably I understood, like you have to add a command over here and then probably the value over here. So the value is nothing but this evil bat thing, but we need to change that evil bat to mutated nuts, so or whatever name you all had that bat file, ctemp mutated nuts. I'll just change this to t as well. Let's just add this. Once you do that, this thing lights up over here, changes the red thing. Make sure you try to do this changes over here and do a save configuration. That's how it's gonna save this particular file. Otherwise it's going to display it over here, but it's not going to save it for some reason. Okay, so this is what happens over here. You can also add the scheduler as well, and this actually can be done without the scheduler. So let's just skip this thing for now. Obviously when you're doing the box for the first time, I myself added this thing and tried to do it, and after some time I did get a shell, but let's just try doing it without this. And it says restart the computer over here. So I probably thought that, since we did have this who am I priv, so we did have this shutdown privilege, I thought we could have restarted the system or something like that. So because obviously that would be the first thing naturally to come in the mind, right? Because you do have that permission as well given. So but that thing does not work, it will give you access denied. So in short, you just have to restart the application. From the system, I thought we could have not restarted the application, but you can do a nc.exe start and stop as well for this particular application. Or what we can do is we can just try and do control over here, and let's just try to do a reload. Okay, and it says restarting, please wait while we restart or something like that. And this thing is actually gonna take some time and it's gonna be stuck over here. So I did reset this box over here, and let's just try logging in again and see if this thing actually works. So let's just do the same thing over here, and we can just try to change the name from Fuba to something else. Probably it works for Fuba as well, but let's just try adding something like mutated nuts over here. Command the value, that is c, then tmp and mutated nuts bat. Let's just try adding this over here. It says refreshing keys, do save configuration. Let's just try to do control and reload over here. It says restarting again, and it's gone. That error is gone over there, so probably it got restarted. Let's just quickly check for our ncnvlp listener. We did not get anything because we did not add any schedulers. So we can just go to this modules over here. It says reloading modules, and let's just go to settings again. We do not get anything over here as well. Then let's just go to queries over here. It says refreshing queries, and once we come back over here, we do see we have a shell over here. So in short, it looks like that refreshing queries did execute our script, which was this earlier script, right? We did not add this scheduler over here, so the earlier script did execute that thing. And if we just do who am I over here, we are over here as system. Why system is because probably this NSClient was actually running as system. And it mentions over here in the POC as well that NSClient is installed with web server enabled. Okay, so in short, it requires that this particular application should actually be running as system, I guess. So okay, so what we'll try to do is we do have this particular system shell. We can go back to users, we can go back, you can go to the administrator directory, and we can go to desktop over here, and we can get the root txt flag over here. So this was the box, how it was done. And if you guys get stuck again over here for some reason, so you all can try out the other scripts over here as well. So in short, now we'll just try and listen to a different port. For now we'll just do port 445 over here just to be safe, and we'll just try and create a different file, the BAT file, and see if this thing would actually work. And we'll do it in a bit different way if this web application does not work entirely. So what we can do is we can just try and look for how to add new external script in NSClient, and let's just see if we find a way over here on how to add these particular scripts. And if we check this thing out, we do not get anything over here probably. So let's just go over here, do not get anything over here. We do have something, but yeah, you can check out for multiple articles over here. We do see the scripts article, and it says you can try and do a curl request from your system probably, or from any others. You can try to do it remotely, but you know, obviously port forwarding would work great. You can try to do it with the system shell itself. Okay, so what we'll try to do is, it says list active script, my bad. And then what it says that you can add a script over here using this command, and it says curl so and check bat. So this check bat is actually where the data would present in curl. So I hope you all know a bit about curl. So what we'll try to do is, we could have used that script over there, but before that, creating that script, we'll just try and create another bat file that is probably something like kindly subscribe or something like that, and we can subscribe. Okay, all right. So let's just try and modify this particular port over here to port 4445, and just keep it different than the port which was mentioned in this muted.bat. So what we'll try to do is, we'll just try to get this particular file first from our SMB attack machine, muted.nuts over here, and kindly subscribe BAT. Let's just try to do that into the TMP directory. And then let's try and modify that script which we did get earlier, right, using the curl command. So now let's just try entering this curl script over here. So we can just paste this curl. Okay, so, okay, my bad. This is the file which got pasted. Just go back. Okay, and let's just try to copy this again and paste this thing over here. And over here it says check new bat. So over here, the data of this is what we have to enter first. The data, obviously we could have gone from here, but we could have started from data. Like, we'll just start from data, and we'll just try to add this particular data. Data is basically this particular script which we're adding over here. We just need to add this over there, and let's just try doing that. So we just need to give something like C TMP and kindly subscribe. All right, BE and BAT. Let's just try to do that, and then later on over here we can just go back, and in localhost we can try to add numeric IP. I think this would be fine, but let's just try adding that just to be safe. One, and I think that's done. Check new bat as we can change that to kindly subscribe as well. So we have done this, sorry, and yeah. So let's just try adding this, and it says password for admin. So the password which we did get for 8443 right earlier. So let's just try to paste that and hit enter, and it says added kindly subscribe as script kindly subscribe.bat. So what we'll try to do is, we'll just go back over here and probably try to enumerate things over here. And if we go to introduction, we probably get some few additional things over here, and it says queries. So probably we can execute queries or something like that over here. So let's just try and check for that. And ensure we can actually execute the commands over here using execute, and the commands probably we have to enter something like this, like, you know, the actual kindly subscribe command over here, because this kindly subscribe bat file was present, right? So we need to enter that kindly subscribe over here in order to particularly execute the command. So what we'll try to do is, we'll just try to copy this entire thing over here. You can copy this Python thing as well, or we could have copied the time as well. I don't think we require the time, so we can just modify that. So let's just try to copy this thing over here, and we need to modify a few things. We can remove the time required. Yeah, I think we can remove the time, and we can remove the check CPU as well, because this is where we need to actually enter our kindly subscribe command over here, which we have added over here, right? And also we need to enter this particular port over here, that is, sorry, we can enter the numeric IP over here, that is 127.0.0.1. okay, and I think it's good to go. We can try and run this query. over here. So this is check CPU. So on top, obviously there was commands mentioned, so we could have added this check CPU kind of thing. Sorry, my bad, not commands over here, but for this queries thing, the query which we have to execute. My bad. So this is where we need to actually execute the query. So let's just try to do that, and that's what is done. Okay, so kindly subscribe, we are ready to go. And if we try to execute this, since the kindly subscribe one is actually the one which port 4445, hopefully let's see if we get a shell or no. So let's just execute this, and it's gonna ask for a password. Let's just enter the same password over there. Let's just try to hit enter, and we do see we get a shell over here as user system. So this is another way which we could have done. And if you guys, there's another way, that is you could actually try to restart this particular client, and you can do that with nc.exe stop nscp, because that's the process which it's running, right? You can do that and then try to restart it. Ensure it just requires a restart of this particular application. So if this thing actually does not work well, you can try to do this stop thing after you add the code or something like that, or you add this commands, right? This particular commands, you do that, you add it, and then you can do that. Like probably you can add this command over there, the script, sorry, in the web application, and then instead of doing this control restart over here, you can try to do this, as well as you can try doing nc.exe, and you can do start nscp, and this is how we can start that particular nscp service again. So it'll probably start, and then probably you can execute your command as well. And I think once you do that, you can just try and check this NSClient page again and see if you find, obviously it's going to ask for the password. Let's just take this, enter this password over here. Let's just go to queries, sorry, settings. Let's just go to external scripts. We do have this mutated nuts script which we had created earlier, right? So we can even go to console over here, and let's just try running mutated nuts. Before that, we can just start on nc on port 444, because mutated nuts is 444. You can try to do mutated nuts over here. We do have that few bar schedule something, I'm not sure, but let's just try to run this. And if we go back over here, we do have a shell again. So this is like multiple ways you can, actually, this box is a bit unstable, so there are multiple ways you can bypass that thing. Not bypass exactly, but if you do not get it in one way, you get stuck, you can try different ways over here. So this was the box, and actually this box was really good, but the box was a bit unstable. So that's why probably, there are like a lot of issues with this restart kind of thing. So if you guys like this video, do give a thumbs up. If you all have any queries, or if you all have any tips and tricks, you all can do let me know as well on the comments below, as well as do subscribe for more upcoming videos. Thank you.